Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode we have a pretty special video. We have the ultimate wheated bourbon blind battle. Run the video. Alright then folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And as you can see, what a special blind battle we have here today for you folks at home. Recently managed to get this bottle of whiskey. This is the 2023 William LaRue. This is a bottle that I've been looking for probably about like 9 years, I feel like, at this point. Lucky enough to get it. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I was able to get this bottle. I'll add that in when I do a store haul video, or maybe when I do the review on this. So definitely keep an eye out for that. We did this in a recent haul of how we were able to get that, and this is a Weller full proof there. So why we wanted to do this video specifically was when I blinded all the Wellers, this came out on top. We did a blind battle, me and Shane. This was my favorite whiskey of the Wellers. That was when we hadn't tried this Weller, and we haven't tried the Elmer Wheat Weller as well. So this was kind of like the core regular range. We all know about this one. It was in my top whiskeys of the year for last year. Phenomenal wheated bourbon. And then I've only ever tried William LaRue Weller once, and that was a sample. Didn't know how old the sample was, didn't know what year it was. It wasn't great, if I'm completely honest, but a sample is just a sample. You can't quite capture the essence of what this whiskey is all about. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that here today. And what better way to find out just how much you like a whiskey than to blind it against these other two absolute hitters of the whiskey world. So before we get these whiskey into glasses, let's check out the competition and then let's get to tasting.
I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own.
Alright then folks, and we are back. And as you can see, the whiskey is in the glasses. I have no idea which glass is which. I poured them into glasses, I lettered the glasses, and then I had my wife come down here, mix them all up. So at this point, I do have no idea which is which. So Weller Full Proof, we have William LaRue Weller, and we have the Maker's Mark Cellar Age. So you could almost say that the Weller Full Proof might be at a little bit of an advantage here, because that's been open for a while, might have had time to breathe. It is about 9 months to a year old, so there's a little bit of and it's got about a third of the bottle left, so maybe that's something to take into consideration. However, let's dive into this challenge, and just standing here, I'm getting an abundance of beautiful flavors. As always, we will start with your left, work your way then to your right. I'll kind of reset my palate in between, taste back through them, and then we'll come back with an order. So glass number one. They're all kind of looking kind of like the same color here in the glass, which is kind of understandable. I think the William LaRue Weller is a little bit higher in ABV. The Maker's Mark cask strength is 57.85% ABV. William LaRue Weller 66.8. And then lastly, the Weller Full Proof is 57. We have a decent amount of spread of the ABVs there, but definitely looks very thick and inviting, very chewable, and very oily in the glass, that's for sure. Let's go in for a nose here. That's top tier whiskey right there, which is understandable for all these three bottles. Yes, I've tried the Weller Full Proof and the Cellar Age before, but William LaRue Weller is a little bit of an enigma for me. I wonder how that'll stand up here today. Almost like a sugar, butter, vanilla frosting note. Typical, like beautiful, typical whiskey cherries. Kind of like those cherry candied sweets you used to get from like Haribo. Has like the green stem and the red. Strawberries for days as well. Very, very berry forward. A little bit of deep glazed caramel. Think like creme brulee with the vanilla and the cracked caramel as you take a spoon there. No proof, no ABV coming off this whatsoever. Yeah, it knows it's like a 40% whiskey. It's pretty incredible, given that the lowest ABV on the table is 57%. Let's go in for a taste here. Glass 1. Just so good on the palate. So rich. Mouthfeel is like, it's just so buttery. Not the butter, the flavor, but it's just so velvety, so creamy. There's a little spice with this. There's a little heat there, which is understandable, which kind of comes up towards the back end. The spice is more of an oaky and woody spice with like almost like a touch of like cardamom seed there. Like if you've ever had a little bit of taste of like cardamom tea, and let's say you just drink it straight like black tea, you have like the nice little sweetness of cardamom, and then that tea kind of dries out towards the back end, and that's kind of what this is almost like, because the wood helps it dry it out towards the back end. Still very berry forward. You're still picking up that strawberry, that raspberry, that kind of framboise, that light berry note. Not quite in the realm of like a blackberry or a blackcurrant, but more light red berries, like the strawberries or the raspberries. But apart from that, very well balanced. I want to go in for one more taste here on glass 1. Just getting more of a honey sweetness that second pass. And that kind of carries on through until that starts drying out towards the end. Just phenomenal, just so well balanced. Bourbon 101, you get the spice, you get the oak, you get the sweetness, and it's just all very well balanced. Phenomenal for start. That was glass 1. Cleanse the palate, and let's move into glass number 2. So again, much like the other ones, glass 2 is just very oily in the glass there as well. It's just beautiful. It's almost like I'm rolling around some maple syrup. Just looks so thick, velvety. There's a little bit more of a wood note off the back, well, off the front here. That was the first thing to really hit me. I'm thinking like a dusty rickhouse note. But it's again a cherry, but it's more of like a maraschino cherry, as this was like more of like a candy cherry, or like a Haribo cherry. There are different levels of cherry, okay, folks? Kind of reminds me more so, like this had remnants of Italian cream and Italian Di Serrano, Amaretto. This kind of has a bit more of that. This is a lot more sugary on the nose, albeit you do get a lot more wood. No spice, no heat. I'm getting a lot of candy floss as well. Like, again, very berry forward, but like candy floss at a carnival or something like that. It's whipped up, it's like a strawberry flavored. It's very, very sweet forward. But again, like I said, no spice, no ABV. This is glass 2, let's go in for a taste here. Such a nice, pillowy mouthfeel. It's like I'm swallowing clouds. It's very, very oily. Very thick, so viscous, covering all the palate. It really does a great job of covering the front of your tongue and that palate area there. And that just keeps going. I'm still getting the finish. And I drank it about 10 seconds ago now. First impressions, you get more of that candy sweetness that comes through. That candy floss, that berry forward candy floss that comes there. But then the wood, it kind of drinks through. You kind of drink the wood all the way through. You taste that berry candy floss note, and you also have that kind of barrel char, brick house note there as well. And that keeps carrying on and carrying on. I'm still tasting that berry note there as well. And if I touch the sides of my cheek, I'm still like almost tasting the sweetness there as well. Let's go in for another taste on glass 2 here. This glass 2 is, it's maybe a little bit more like resin, sappy forward, just because of the oiliness and the mouthfeel. It does give you a little bit of a Kentucky hug here, which is kind of expected of a lot of these, or most of these, or all of these whiskeys, because of the ABV. But definitely that kind of chewy wood, sweetness, the strawberries, the candy floss, and then just maybe on the back end there, you get a little bit more spice. Like I said, maybe it's more of like an oak spicy note, or maybe like a touch of like an allspice there as well. Definitely a little bit more heat with this one. But again, somewhat different to the first one. Had some berry notes, but much more of a wood characteristic here and a little bit more spice. And also more sweet at the same time. But excellent, excellent addition again to this blind. Let's reset the palate and move into the last glass. So then just coming off of glass 2, again, they all kind of look the same in the glass. All pretty viscous, pretty dark, all very inviting. But just coming off the back of the glass back 2, just coming off of glass 2, glass 3 is almost a little bit subdued in some of the flavors because this was quite a bit of a more wood punch, a little bit more agey, a little bit more fighty, I guess, in a way. Well, this is just settled down just a little bit. There's no one note that's kind of jumping out of the glass to me. I'm obviously getting kind of like the typical bourbon vanillas, like a waffle ice cream with a waffle cone with some vanilla ice cream in top. Almost has some brandy-esque notes as well, that kind of real sweetness that you get from brandy. Rich, kind of toffee sweetness that you get there. Let me roll this around to see if, let me roll this around in the Whiskey Cove Speyside taster we have for sale over at the whiskeycove.square.site. Unbeatable prices for premium glassware. Go and check us out there. It doesn't give off really any proof on the nose. It's like I proofed it down to 40% ABV here. But you're still getting some of those flavors, some charred oak, some marshmallow, like toasted ricey bar, crispy bar, like the breakfast cereal bars. Kind of has a little bit more of that savory note, like Pop-Tart, Rice Krispie savory note to it. But then a really nice level of sweetness with like the toffee, with like golden syrup, Hershey's caramel sauce, that sort of thing. Let's go in for a taste on glass 3. Oh my. So rich. And I think I've actually said that about all of these so far, that they've all been so rich. But this one, wow, so viscous. Just my tongue is just like a firework now. It's just dinging everywhere with all this sweetness, all this flavor. Kind of going back to the Pop-Tart analogy I made on the nose. You're getting kind of like that savory kind of pastry note there as well, maybe like graham cracker-esque. But it's like you put it into a toaster for 10 seconds, it's popped out, it's really warm, you drizzled some maple syrup on there. You've taken a big bite, and that maple syrup is a little bit warm and it just coats your mouth. And you keep tasting through it. You get some burnt, like charred notes there, some of that marshmallow, some of that Rice Krispie note. And it's just what's in this glass too as well. Phenomenal, just phenomenal mouthfeel on this last glass. Like I said, they all have had phenomenal mouthfeels, but this has been something quite special, that's for sure. And then on the back end, then you do get a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat again, which is again expected. I want to go in for one more taste here and see if we can get anything more on the palate in this one. I'm getting like a bouquet of cherries on the palate, like the multiple cherries I mentioned today. The bacon cherry, the candy cane cherry, the maraschino, the dark cherry, the glacial cherry. It's just popping off everywhere in my mouth. Get a lot of wood there as well, but like a really nice aged and subtle wood. It's not like a dusty rickhouse or like too much of a spicy wood. It's just a very nice, gentle, like fresh pencil type wood. Through that, you shave a pencil, give it a sniff, kind of like a really nice fresh pencil note that balances out all the other stuff that's going on very well. So what we'll do, obviously there's a lot to get through with all three of these, and I'm going to need some good amount of time to get through them. So stay with us, and we will come back and then we'll hopefully have them in an order for you folks at home. Alrighty then folks, welcome back, and I guess we managed somehow to get these in some sort of order here. This was definitely, we've had some pretty insane blinds on this channel, because when I get like a new special whiskey, I want to blind it first before I get to review it, because I think that's just the best way to try whiskey. Blind it up against something that's really good, and we have 3 special whiskeys here today. With that being said, I don't really know which is which. I might have some, there might be some subtle indications there, but I've kind of dismissed that. I'm just kind of gone off of what I believe is the best whiskey here to rank as 1, 2, and 3. So with that being said, very close across the board. Ultimately, last place, which isn't a bad place to be at with these three, was glass number 2. Although I felt that it had a lot more wood presence, and some of the notes that it did have were very heightened, I think that it just had maybe a little bit more of a dusty wreck house feel. It was a little bit, and when I say it was a little bit unbalanced, it's not an unbalanced whiskey. It's a phenomenal whiskey, but just up against these two, and when you're split in hairs, and these hairs are very thin, then that's what did it for me. It wasn't as balanced as these two. It had excellent mouthfeel, some excellent flavor notes. Again, you still had some of those berry notes that carried over from glass 1, but it was just, I felt like that wood note was just kind of almost like a dusty wood note that kind of stole the show a little bit more than what these other two had going on. Let's find out what glass 2 was. I have the answer key in my back pocket here, which was provided by my beautiful wife. So we have these in A, B, and C, so let's check it out. So this is B for Bravo. And I didn't know what to say then, but this is going to be Maker's Mark Cellar Aged. So this was the one that I thought that it could be. I'm not sure about the other two, but I had an indication that this was Maker's Mark only because there was a lot of similar notes between these two, where this was almost like it stood out a little bit, but because it had that kind of dusty rickhouse note that I've gotten before from a lot of Maker's Mark. I get it from Maker's 46 and 46 cask strength a lot. So I kind of somewhat had a feeling that this could be it. But like I said, this was just so close across the board. And what a phenomenal whiskey. And I think Makers should be proud of this bottle. This is the best stuff that they've been able to put out that I've ever tried. And I've tried some phenomenal store picks that they've had. Store picks that have gone on to win awards at San Francisco Great Spirit Awards there. But this made the top 7 whiskeys of the Whiskey Cove for last year, so it's just a phenomenal bottle of whiskey. With that being said, let's find out what came in second place. So I'll be honest, there was up into the point where I was nosing this whiskey, this was winning. This was number 1. I wouldn't say it was clear number 1 in my mind, but I had enjoyed this the most. Then when I tasted this whiskey and when it hit my palate, the richness, the completeness, the balance, the firework of flavors that was going off in my mouth is how I put it. Stuff that I hadn't tasted since George T. Stagg days was happening in this glass. So let's find out what was in second place. So second place fell to glass number 1. In its own right, such a great whiskey, so well balanced. The strawberry Pop-Tart, strawberry flavors, the syrup flavors, beautiful, beautiful whiskey. Let's find out what was glass 1. So that was going to be A for Alpha, and that was Weller Foolproof. So with that being said, today's winner was William LaRue Weller 2023. So on the face of it, you could say that the best bottle won. And I'm so happy that I do these blind because although my reviews, I try to be very specific and block out everything else apart from the glass of whiskey that's in front of me, you never really know a whiskey until you do a blind. And we really got to know this whiskey here today. Foolproof was awesome as well. And I think that maybe the fact that it's been open for a while might have helped it against the cellar aged. But just up against these two, it just couldn't. It did compete, and it will continue to compete at a very high level, but there was just something different about these two bottles that just had that, the va-va-voom, that X factor that elevates it to the next level. However, William LaRue Weller of 2023 won today, and this is probably the best mouthfeel I've ever had on a whiskey. George T. Stagg 2022 was a phenomenal whiskey and still is. It's over there over my shoulder here. But this mouthfeel was just next level. It was weird actually trying this off the back of this. I was a little bit concerned with the nose because this nose was so punchy. I had to give it a little bit more to come back to this to really let my palate reset. I give it like 10, 15 minutes. And then when I let that happen, it just took on a completely different note, different flavor profile. And then as soon as it hit the palate, it stole the show. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. super humbled, super happy to be able to get this bottle. It has been a unicorn bottle for me for many a year, and they say never meet your heroes, and this has been a whiskey hero for me for a long time. And we've met the hero today, and they did not disappoint. So I hope you enjoyed today's video as we drink through the world's whiskies, one glass at a time. Cheers.